All right, guys, I promised this video, so here it is. This is going to help you with Windows Privilege Escalation. We covered a great resource for Linux Privilege Escalation. Now I want to do the same thing with Windows here. So if you're going for your OSCP or whatever certification, or if you just want to, in general, just strengthen up your privilege escalation skill set, definitely stay tuned to this video. All right, guys, this is Ryan from elevatecyber here. I have LOLBAS here, which is living off the land binaries and scripts. And so if you're not familiar with the Windows terminology, there's a phrase that you'll hear quite a bit called living off the land. All that means is you're using built-in Windows binaries in order to, achieve some end goal as a hacker. Normally, privilege escalation, maybe downloading files, executing them, whatever, right? There's a number of tags that we'll see here in a bit. But this one is basically, we looked at GTFO bins in a previous video for the Linux binaries. Be sure to check that one out if you haven't already. But this is basically the same thing. In fact, it even references LOLBAS on the GTFO bins page. And yeah, here you go, right? So this is basically the Windows version, but it actually has a lot more than you would even think as being pretty useful, right? Like there's this download tag here, for example, right? We've covered before Windows file transfers, and that's always a really tricky matter, right? Because sometimes something will work and then another thing won't work. But look at all of these things you have. I'll just search this. Look at all the download options you have. You can literally use any of these Windows binaries if you have access to them on the system in order to download a file. That's crazy. Like, let's go to a random one, like completely random, like mpcmd run.exe. Well, if we run this command, we can actually download a file. Isn't that crazy? Like I had no idea that this was even a binary. I never heard of this one, but if you have access to running this command on the Windows system, you can simply do mpcmd run.exe, give it the download file flag, give it URL flag, and then your file that you're hosting, and then the path that you want it to download it to. And it's as simple as that, right? And similarly, you have all these other options for downloading files. So if the certutil method I showed you in that one video wasn't working, if PowerShell isn't working, well, you have an entire army of potential other commands that you can run, right? And then you also have the execute tag here in order to execute files. Pretty self-explanatory there. And this is kind of, very similar to the GTFO bins one. It's just, what do I have access to on the system and what can I do with it, right? And this will help answer the what can I do with it part. And of course, you have the search functionality, so you can search for pretty much anything you want to look for, like, find string. And then you can see, also another cool thing is some of these have a credentials tag where you can actually see how you can leverage the binary to search for credentials on the system. Like this command here they give you will search for stored passwords in the group policy files on sysvol. So a lot of these can be very useful for privilege escalation, as we see here, as well as, of course, downloading files and things like that. So another thing, if you did forget the certutil command on how to download files, well, you have it right here, right? This is for 7-zip, and then download and save, encode, decode. You have so many commands here to reference, and they even provide some resources as well, things you can look at. They tell you where the binary is located as well. So if you see a binary, you never heard of it before, and you're like, I don't know where this is located. Well, they have the path section up here, which is really handy. So for example, we go back to that mpcmd.run command that I never heard of. Well, that's in program data, Microsoft Windows Defender platform, that number, and then there it is. So this must be a part of Windows Defender, actually, interestingly enough, that we're going to leverage. That's quite honestly living off the land, if I do say so myself. We're actually taking an antivirus native, application and leveraging it to escalate our privileges, right? To download files on the system. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, this will teach you a lot about Windows. Even if you think you know everything about Windows, I bet you there's some stuff on here you didn't know about. But yeah, just add this as a part of your toolkit, right? When you're doing your Windows privilege escalation and you see you have access to certain binaries, give it a search on here. You know, see if, hey, maybe I can do something with this, right? It's pretty interesting here. We also have this dump tag. So you can dump some binary here. Okay, yeah, like memory dump, like LSAS. Okay, so you can actually dump some credentials using this binary here. So yeah, and there you have it. That's pretty much all I want to cover for this one. And I mean, look at how many binaries we're covering here. This is pretty much as you could possibly want here for living off the land Windows binaries. So if you watched to this point and was beneficial to you, definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like button as well to help other people out with what can often be really tricky with Windows privilege escalation and file transfer and all that crazy stuff. You know, get that message out there so people can benefit from this. And I will see you guys over in the videos on the screen. Thanks for watching.